Hi everyone, this is Kevin Lewitsky. This is my submission for Lab 5 for Intro to Microprocessors. For this lab we had to connect the 2-digit 7-segment LED display to the MSP430 microcontroller, as well as some dip switches to the microcontroller. And the purpose of this lab was to implement a program that allows us to increment each digit of the display separately, and then hold whatever values those are at. So for example, if I incremented both digits to 5, that would be a value of 55. And then I could hold that value. And then I could also count up or count down from that value to either 99 or 00. So I'll explain briefly how the board is set up. I've got the display here, and it's connected to pins 1.0 through 1.6 on the microcontroller. And those are connected through the 330 ohm resistors here. I've also got the 4 switches here. For this particular lab, we only had to use 3 switches, so I used a smaller set of switches than the previous homework assignment. And those are connected to pins 2.3 to 2.5. And then I've also got 2 BJT transistors, which are used to multiplex to the display. And so basically those allow the microcontroller to control the 2 digits of the display independently. And each one of those transistors has 3 pins on it. One of the pins is connected to ground. One is connected through the 1 kilo ohm resistors to pins 2.0 and 2.1 on the microcontroller. And then that third pin of each one of those transistors is connected to the display. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate the program now. Per the specs in the lab, we're using switches numbered 1, 2, and 3. And they're actually in the lab, they're numbered switches 3, 2, and 1. And when the position of switch 3 is off, then the program is in a mode where each digit is incremented individually. And then it increments from 0 to 9, and then once it reaches 9, it just rolls back over to 0. And then when switch 3 is on, that's when it's in that mode where it counts from that number up to 99 or down to 00. So I'll demonstrate all the different combinations now. So right now it's in reset mode, which is when all 3 switches are off. It just resets to 00. If I turn switch number 1 to the on position, then the right digit cycles 0 through 9. So I'll demonstrate that now. And now you can see that right digit is incrementing from 0 to 9. Once it reaches 9, it's just going to roll back over to 0. And then if I move switch 2 to the on position and leave switch 1 in the on position, it'll hold its value. So right now both switches 1 and 2 are in the on position. It's holding its value at 0.7. And then if I turn switch number 1 off and leave switch number 2 on, then the tens digit, that's this digit here, will increment from 0 to 9 and then flip back over and go back to 0. So now you can see that left digit is incrementing from 0 to 9. When it reaches 9, it's going to go back to 0. And when both switches 1 and 2 are in the on position, it holds its value. So what I'll do now is I'll put all 3 switches back to the off position, and it's going to reset back to 0. So now everything's off, it resets back to 0. I'll go ahead and increment those digits independently back up to something like in the 50s range. Okay, so now it's showing 54. So now if I move switch number 3 to the on position, and right now switches 1 and 2 are already in the on position, which means that it's holding its value. When I move switch 3 to the on position, the counter is going to cycle up from the preset value, which is currently 54, up to 99. Once it reaches 99, it'll freeze. And what I'll do is I will start incrementing, and then I'll pause it, and then I'll re-increment it again from that pause number just to demonstrate that you can pause it in the middle of that counting cycle. And when it's doing these counts up to 99 or down to 00, it does it in a fast mode. So rather than incrementing 1 time per second, it'll increment 4 times per second. So now it's incrementing up to 99. I'll freeze it now. So now I moved switch 3 back to the off position. Right now it's frozen at 83. I'm going to turn it back on, and it'll increment up to 99 and then stop. Okay, now it's counted up to 99. It stopped. Now the next step is to count down from the preset value to 00. So for this, what I'll do is I'll reset everything back to 00. I'll increment the 2 digits independently, again to a number in the 50s range probably, and then we'll count down. So now right now it's at 00. I'll increment those digits independently. All right, so right now it's showing 56. I'll have it count down to 00, and I'll also show that when switch 3 is in the on position, if either switches 1 or 2 are in the off position, it'll pause counting. So I'll demonstrate both of those. All right, so right now it's counting down because switch 3 is the only switch in the on position. And right now I've paused it because I moved switch 1 to the on position. So now switches 1 and 3 are in the on position, counting's paused. I'll turn switch number 1 off and switch number 2 on. It'll start counting and then it'll pause again. So right now it's counting down. And I've just paused it again at 09. And when I turn switch number 2 off, it'll count down to 00. And that's it. That's lab number 5 for Intro to Microprocessors. Thank you.